Okay. Just start.
Good morning, everyone. Today we will be presenting about the educational opportunities for underprivileged students in Malaysia. We will be focusing on migrant children. I will be passing it on to Villa for the introduction.
So, hi everyone. Hi, sir. So today I'll be presenting about a focused, unprivileged group, which is migrant children in Malaysia. Migrant workers in Malaysia come from various countries such as Indonesia, Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar, and Philippines. So they come here to work and earn money to support their families, but this is a sad reality. The sad reality here is that their children face too many challenges growing up in a different country. One of the biggest challenges is education. So, for many migrant children, going to school is something easy or guaranteed. The first problem is low family income. Many migrant parents work in jobs that pay very little, so they struggle just to cover basic needs like food or rent a house. So, because of this, things like school supplies, transport, fees became a big burden for them. Sometimes the children even need to help their parents work instead of going to school, so they will work like part time. These will make them too much stress. So the second issue is documentation. Some of these children do not have proper legal papers because their parents are migrant workers. So without the right documentation, many public schools cannot accept them. According to UniCF, this is one of the main reasons migrant children are left out of the formal education system. So because of all these barriers, many migrant children cannot enter public schools like other kids. Instead, they are depend on community learning centers and informal education programs. These places are helpful, but they may not offer the same quality, facilities, or stability as the normal schools. Some centers may not have enough teachers, proper classrooms, or learning materials. The format is not right, something that is not it's not like very it's not good but not enough. So another challenge also, language. Many of them come from Malaysia without knowing Malay or English. This makes learning very difficult because they must find first to try understand the language before then they can understand the lesson. So on top of that, they face cultural differences which can make them feel left out or different from other children. All these things can affect their confidence and their motivation to learn. So understanding these by studying migrant children as an unprivileged group, we hope to raise awareness and encourage more support, more policies, and more understanding to help them receive the education and opportunities they deserve. So that's all for the introduction. Thank you.
So, hello everyone, my name is Swati, and I'll be talking about the educational opportunity for migrant children in Malaysia. To understand this better, our group analyzed two main education components, which is access to education and the learning environment. These components show how migrant students experience schooling differently compared to Malaysia. So, the first would be access to education. Many migrant children cannot enroll in public schools because they don't have the required documentation, such as birth certificate, report cards and all that. Even when the alternative options exist to enroll in schools, families often struggle with transport costs and basic school fees. Because of this, their school attendance becomes irregular and the risk of dropping out is much higher. And for the second component, which is learning environment, most migrant children attend community-based or alternative learning centers. These centers usually have limited resources, few learning materials, and sometimes untrained or volunteer teachers. Technology access is also very minimal, which affects their academic progress and also their confidence. So overall, these two components show that migrant children face significantly inequality in receiving the same quality of education as Malaysian students. These challenges does not only impact their learning today, but also their future opportunities. That is all from me. Thank you. We'll be moving on to Nandini.
Right. So right now we will be talking about the government efforts to foster equal opportunity of education for migrant children. I will be going on about the Malaysian-Indonesian bilateral cooperation. To recap, Education is a fundamental right, yet for many migrant children, especially those living on remote plantations in Sabah and other regions, this right is often out of reach. Many of these children grow up isolated, lacking legal documentation, and facing structural barriers that prevent them from entering formal schooling systems. Recognizing this issue, the governments of both Malaysia and Indonesia established a collaborative initiative to ensure that these children are not left behind. One of the key outcomes of this partnership is the creation of community learning centers, or CLCs, specifically designed to serve Indonesian migrant communities working in Malaysian plantations. These CLCs operate directly within remote plantation areas, making education physically accessible. Importantly, they provide both primary and secondary education, regardless of the child's documentation status. This removes one of the biggest barriers faced by migrant children and gives them a chance to pursue learning in a safe, structured environment. Today, there are more than 200 CLCs and one international school operating under this cooperation, collectively serving nearly 5,000 students. The centers follow the Indonesian national curriculum, which ensures continuity for students who may eventually return to Indonesia. In addition to academic instruction, CLCs also help children obtain legal identification documents, which is essential for mobility and future educational opportunities. Another significant component of this bilateral effort is the scholarship pathway. Through this program, CLC graduates are able to continue their education in Indonesia. To date, over 540 scholarships have been awarded, and many former CLC students have gone on to pursue higher education internationally. This shows that when given proper support, migrant children can excel and contribute meaningfully to society. Ultimately, this Malaysian Indonesian educational cooperation demonstrates that rights based, coordinated policies can overcome meaningfully to society. Ultimately, this Malaysian Indonesian educational cooperation demonstrates that rights based, coordinated policies can overcome structural barriers and promote equity. By bringing education directly to marginalized communities and supporting them beyond the classroom, both nations illustrate how cross border collaboration can protect children's rights and open real pathways to a better future. That's it from me. Moving on to the next part.
So I'll be sharing about Malaysian government's recent effort to improve education access for migrant and undocumented children. In 2023, the government announced plan to amend the Education Act so undocumented and non-Malaysian children can register and study in public school. And the Education Ministry began reviewing old rules from 2009 that made school entry difficult and acknowledging the flaws of the system because back then only children with one Malaysian parent are allowed to receive formal education. So the government began to draft clearer and standardized guidelines to help schools enroll undocumented children without confusion. In 2025, a multiple agency approach is being used, especially to help children in Sarawak who were born without proper birth documents. 2023 to 2025, leaders repeatedly stressed that no child should be left behind, highlighting education as a basic right for all children. This step shows a shift towards a long-term policy changes to ensure migrant and undocumented children are not excluded from education. And that's all from me. I'll pass it on to the next slide.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Maheshwari, and I'll be presenting on the efforts made by education stakeholders to ensure migrant children receive equal educational opportunities in Malaysia. So, migrant workers around the world continue to face discrimination and abuse, whether it's in employers or local communities. Sadly, their children experience the same challenges. Many are vulnerable to child labor, trafficking, and the lack of basic education. Although the government has taken steps to protect them, the issue is complex and widespread. So, government action alone is not enough. This is where NGOs and private stakeholders play a crucial role. One major example is Global Shepherds, a non-profit organization that has carried out extensive work in Keningau, Sabah. During the COVID-19 pandemic, social worker Jelfrine Joseph and her team supported Filipino, Indonesian, and undocumented communities. They organized personal safety and self-protection workshops for women and children, and most importantly, they provided access to formal education. What makes their efforts effective is that teachers at the center are trained counselors and they come from the same community as students. This creates a safe and trusting learning environment. The school's principal, Mary Ann Enriquez, also actively encourages reporting cases of abuse to the authorities. And because many students had no internet access during the pandemic, the team conducted weekly home visits so learning could continue and no one is left behind. The second example is My Voice. There is an estimated 33,600 children working in this sector, with nearly 60% in Sabah. I'm talking about the palm oil plantations. While community learning centers or CLCs do provide education as part of the government efforts, NGOs have stepped in to strengthen the support system. And this is where My Voice come in. My Voice, launched by the Child Rights Action Hub in 2024, my voice focuses my voice focuses on reducing child labor and improving access to education through community-based solution. A key achievement is their child labor case manager training, carried on out in partnership with Humana Child Aid Society. This program trains teachers to identify risks of child labor, support vulnerable students, and raise awareness about its dangers. As stated by Riri Malika, teachers are often the first contact with children other than their parents. So training them empowers them not only to teach, but to protect and guide these students towards safer futures. Overall, many NGOs and other private stakeholders are working tirelessly to support migrant children in Malaysia. Their efforts, from safe learning spaces to community-based child labor preventions, are crucial in fighting exploitation. While many children are still trapped in harmful situations, continued support from both the government and NGOs can gradually dismantle these systems of abuse, giving migrant children a fair chance at a better future. And that is all for me. Thank you. We can move on to the next slide.
So, to conclude, the collaboration between community groups, international bodies, and partnerships has improved the migrants' children's access to education by providing safe learning spaces, academic support, and also accredited learning centers that allows these students to continue their studies and progress into higher education. Former students entering professional fields and receiving scholarships is one of the best examples of the long-term positive impact. Even then, there are still major challenges, especially with documentation issues and limited social integration, which continues to restrict true educational equity. To overcome this, more inclusive policies are essential to ensure that all migrant students, regardless of their status or their backgrounds, receive consistent and high quality educational opportunities. And that is all from us.